Michael. How are you?
Good. Welcome to Realm of the Possible by Kilroy. Real quick, you just got back from New York.
I did. It was
Did
blast.
you make it to the most important eatery in? Oh, it's using my other camera. What the f? I'm wearing
the most important eatery.
The most important eatery. I'm wearing my T-shirt.
No, we opted for the other brand that's the most important eatery, the M&M store.
Oh, well, the M&M store. I thought you were going to tell me Dunkin' Donuts, and then I was just going to kill this stream right now because
we went
anybody
to the
that eats
store.
Dunkin' over crispy is.
Well, I used to go to Dunkin' Donuts all the time in Penn Station, and they've completely destroyed the Penn Station vibe and tried to make it respectable with this Moynihan train palace thing that they built. So there's no more Krispy Kreme before the train.
It's too bad their donuts suck, because there's an amazing book about the story of the founder of Dunkin' Donuts that's just incredible. How it was built. His father started it, blah, blah, blah. But it's just really impressive, really cool story. But anyway.
I'll always be a fan of Dunkin' Donut crullers because nobody else makes them. But
well, there you go.
Right about the rest.
The only donut I need in the world is a hot, fresh, Krispy Kreme glazed. That's it. That's all I need. That's all. And I could easily eat. I know I can eat 6 because I've done that multiple times, but I could probably eat a dozen in one sitting.
Dude, in college, every Thursday night was Hill Street Blues night, and one of the fraternities would come around with a pickup truck full of Hot Now donuts, and we would have a 6-pack of Genesee cream ale and a dozen donuts while we watched Hill Street Blues.
That's awesome, and that is dating your ass with Hill Street Blues.
Right, totally. I just nailed it all. But that was from Krispy Kreme store number 3, my man.
Holy shit! Original stuff. Oh,
OG Krispy Kreme.
Awesome. Oh, we have one here that's probably one of the originals. But anyway, let's talk about. Well, today we're gonna go further with our trading pipeline,
right.
But before that, let's talk a little bit of AI news and stuff, if you're good with that. Let me share screen. Probably should have done that beforehand, but whatever. Can I do an entire window, please? Yeah, everybody can see the 4 million tabs I have open. Okay. Is it on screen?
It is.
What are you seeing?
Olmo.
Perfect. So, I am a fanboy of Allen AI, and that is Allen of Paul Allen, one of the original Microsoft bros. And he left a shit ton of money to create an AI organization years and years ago. And Allen AI, or AI2, as most people know it, has been creating really amazing, powerful open source LLMs, open source to the point where they disclose every detail of every piece of the process, from data creation all the way through to training, and every bit of how they build every model they release. They're pure open source, no strings attached, no API calls you have to hook up to or anything else. And they have a lot of really cool tools. They built one of the first iPhone apps that allows you to utilize LLMs on your phone, integrated in.
Yes.
Yeah. So really impressive stuff. I encourage anyone that is interested in decentralized AI and open source AI to go to allenai.org. I will tell you, the only centralized AI tool I use is their product called Asta. If there is anything I want to know about anything, from supplements to illnesses to education to any topic, this is an AI engine that has sucked in hundreds of millions of research papers and keeps it up to date, so that you can come in here and ask it any kind of question you like, and you will get tons of research references and summaries of the research. I would encourage anyone that's doing any kind of research or any kind of work to definitely check it out. As you can see on my left sidebar here, I use it almost every week, a couple of times a week. Great tool, fantastic to use. And that's at asta.allen.ai. Really amazing, powerful tool, and great example of utilizing AI the right way. This week we looked at this research paper that came out of this
The one that documents the Kilroy approach to building pipelines.
exactly. And I posted, I said, it's great when the scientists catch up to you, but that also kind of sucks, right? Because essentially, this was a research done to solve what is used on a bunch of different LLMs for testing and benchmarking, but it's a 1,000,000-step LLM task, and they accomplished it with 0 errors using only small, very small off-the-shelf models, so 7B and lower models. And the reason it worked, you want to explain it, Chuck?
Well, it doesn't have room for error when it's a single little step of the prompt and you're really doing some natural language processing and some simple calcs right there in the model. It doesn't have room for error. It's not going to hallucinate because it's got a context that's 3 miles deep. It's not going to hallucinate because you've said the same thing 5 different ways and it's confused. And it makes it really easy to set up for tool calls between the steps to clean up the arguments or to do mundane things like go look up a piece of data that can be used by the next step. So that step-by-step process of breaking it down, it's how people work. You don't get like the full instruction manual for your Lego kit that you're going to put together and do it all at once, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And again, it's all about breaking pieces down into the smallest component possible so that you never need, ChatGPT level LLMs. And you can solve the same kinds of problems that the big ones solve, but you lose all of the hallucination problems. You lose all of the inefficiency. You lose all of the expensive cost. And that's exactly how we're building Kilroy right now. You're working on that this week, making it even more efficient.
That is on the plate. And we have a little tiny demo of it today later when we're ready for that.
Beautiful. This is another one. I think we'll move into the thing because I talked too much about Krispy Kreme, but there's another one that I'll put in the show notes. But it's, again, utilizing the same kinds of models that we use in terms of breaking things down into small pieces and performing beautifully, because what we do is break everything down into singular tiny context agents that never have to learn what they're supposed to be doing again, because they always know what they're supposed to doing. They have a context around what they do. So had a bunch of other stuff, but I don't want to run out of time for what you want to show us today. So we'll,
oh gosh, you're going to make me fill the solid 20 minutes that we have. Okay.
Oh, I can give you another 5 minutes of stuff here. Like, well, here's
cool stuff. I mean, some of this stuff you haven't told me about yet. So
let's look at this new robot that came out this week. Is pretty. The interesting thing is, this is actually, I guess, shipping now. It's called Memo, and it's a home robot. And they give you examples of making sure your children are the most spoiled possible children on the planet, and that they will never have to clean up after themselves again because you can have this robot in your house.
Man, that robot looks like that thing they sent on a cross-country tour across Canada, and it made it all the way. And when they tried it in the U.S., it made it 10 miles down the highway in Philadelphia before they found it beaten to scraps in the gutter. That's what's going to happen, man.
Exactly.
It needs to be punched.
This one does dishes, folds clothes, the whole bit. Now, I'm sure it's a little slow, but this is the video I was talking about of the example. They have this young girl just throwing her crap all over the place and leaving a mess everywhere. And dad just watches it and waits for Memo, the robot, to come pick it up and clean it up. So I thought this was hilarious.
I think this is the prequel to Murderbot.
That's awesome. I never did finish that series.
It's worth it. The books are really good too. Start with the books. The books are a better start because it makes the show make more sense.
Got it. One more thing, it's funny, me, Chuck, I'm like a GitHub addicted AI guy. And so I'm constantly looking at all the new open source projects, and then I'm dumping all these ideas on you. But here's the thing, that's the continuing pattern that I keep seeing. And that is just to toot our own horn and say, I have yet to find any of these cobbled together Python-based applications that require, node level installs or Python level installs that require multiple applications, 200 dependencies. I've yet to find one that we couldn't recreate in Kilroy. So I think one of the things I want to start doing is taking some of these research papers that we're seeing and some of the projects I see in GitHub and just video me, scary, creating the pipelines that recreate the functionality that they're doing with arduous coding and programming. So this is a Perplexity clone. It's supposed to find answers to your questions, search engine, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's really just a bunch of components and pieces put together, trying to force them to work together. Whereas with us, they're meant to work together. So that's it. That's all I got. All right.
It really is sort of, I don't know. We need to do exactly what you said, because us saying that it works like that without showing it is, oh yeah, sure guys. But it really is the case that with a double click on a desktop grade machine on your desktop, you can do what otherwise would be 2 or 3 days worth of installing Docker images and updating Python libraries and generally futzing around with, some Linux install that's ultimately going to get destroyed because you do something wrong. And Kilroy is all in one bundle. It's all one thing, and it has all the pieces that you need. And if you don't like it, you drag it in a trash can.
And anything that you want to integrate has the potential to be integrated. If it can generate a webhook, if it can do it, there is nothing out there I can think of that could not be a module integrated into the pipeline in Kilroy for you to utilize by your agents. So,
well, let's look at what we've done this week.
Okay, you want me to show it?
Yeah, I'm a little bit mad at myself for adding all these clown colors in here, but it'll help me describe it.
Oh, no, it makes it so much easier to look at. I'm glad you did.
Talking to the colors. Okay, so if you remember last week, what we were working on was integrating the pipeline, the AI pipeline in Kilroy with the existing apps that we have for dealing with exchange trading, right? So we have an exchange application out there, and you can hook it up to any of 120 some different exchanges. And it can do buys and sells, market orders, limit orders. It can get the value of your portfolio. It can see positions that you've got. It can look at your order history. That app is all out there to be driven by you and your mouse clicking. But what we've done is add several of our tool blocks in the AI pipeline that also do those same functions, which now means that your LLMs can do the clicking instead of you with your mouse. Which we want to proceed to do safely and carefully, because you don't want it to spend all your money and find out that what was that robot? Is this bought one of those for you?
Memo. Yeah.
You've got a memo showing up in your on your front doorstep instead of in your portfolio. So last week, what we had done is we were showing how you could just type out sort of a command that would have the Kilroy exchange code go out and get you your positions in a particular exchange. And so I'm going to go over this diagram in gory detail, but right now I'm using an exchange object that's hooked up to Kraken. Kraken is my sandbox exchange because it's only got a little bit of holdings in there, and if I mess up, well, no harm.
Well, we don't want to show the world your massive wealth.
My massive stacks, right?
Yeah.
I want to see those too. So what we had last week was a user input, scrolling chat window where the user typed, and it took a command that went off and used the positions tool over here in light blue to go off and fetch the position that you had, and then format it as some markdown and put it back into your display. What I've done since last week was make this a little cleaner, even though it looks more complicated. We're separating out handling commands from the LLMs doing work and the user's input and output. So we have a section over here on the left for dealing with commands, a section over here on the right that's a work in progress for the work that the LLMs are going to do buy-sell decisions and figure out what your holdings are and the percentages you've got and whatnot. And then the orange stuff is just basic input and output to kind of sanitize the inputs and outputs from the user's perspective.
So that
the
user
flow-
box is a chat engine connected to an LLM that can process the
right.
commands.
And this
that are
could
coming in.
this one currently is the chat window inside of Kilroy, but it could be a Telegram channel. It could be whatever instant messaging service you want. I mean, I guess you could talk to it with email if you wanted to do the integration, right? So the user puts in a command. It's either a slash command, like in this case, we've got slash positions and we've got slash limit. These two blue boxes are checking for those commands and sending them off down the right branch of the tree. Or it's not a command, and we're just going to stick it straight into a swarm over here for all the LLMs to listen to and do work on. And so right now we've got two commands, positions and limit. And I'll just pop back over here. This thing's already instantiated, and I'm sure we're going to have to wait for Olama to wake up as usual. But we'll do the positions command first. This is actually not really using an LLM for very much. I'll show you what it does when it comes back with its answer. It's gone off to Kraken and said, give me all of the positions in the portfolio, and then it's going to pretty it up and show it to me as a table.
Nice.
So it came back as a big JSON object with all of the different holdings and how much was free of each currency, what was used or part of a pending order, and what the current price is. Well, there's a lot of stable coins in there, so the prices are one. But I have my Doge stacks in here.
There you go. Got that Doge stacked up. You brought up something just a minute ago I really want to quickly touch on, and that is we don't need an LLM for everything. And I just read a really long post over on Farcaster today of a guy saying that he took the functionality of a centralized AI app, and he basically took it and removed all of the AI shit from it, and then recreated this thing using actual software and actual code, and then had a really tiny piece where the LLM played a role. And I think that's one of the strengths as well of Kilroy, is that we are not expecting every step of the equation to be agentic or to be an AI. We really want.
It's not. Look at what we just did. I typed slash positions here. It went into the swarm. A piece of code. These boxes are not LLMs. Looked at it and said, "Does it match the pattern?" Hey, it starts with a slash.
Right.
That's the pattern that's in there for the regular expression. You can see it right there. Is start of the line as a slash. Right. Well, it did. Right. It was slash positions. So it flung that over the fence into the commands swarm. And this little guy down here is looking for messages from is a command. And if it matches the word slash positions, it says, yep, I want to get the positions using the positions tool. So far, no LLMs have touched this, right? The positions tool goes off to Kraken and says, give me the positions, right? And it comes back as a JSON object that gets dumped into this swarm, cleverly called input to formatter. And formatter is finally an LLM.
Right.
And it's got a really robust, awesome system prompt. Format JSON that you receive is a markdown table and output to markdown.
So I think the point is, though, that there are plenty of programmatic things that we have learned over the last however many years we've been writing code and computer applications that are built into Kilroy that don't require an AI LLM to actually process it. And you use the LLMs when they need to be, if it's now analyzing sentiment, or if it's formatting, text that's coming in, or if it's identifying things, whatever. But there doesn't always have to be an AI in the loop. And I think that's the point that poster was making this morning is that it's such a waste of energy and time and hassle to try to get AI to do everything when you don't need it for a lot of things. Right.
Now, I'm going to show you something right now that's going to strip everybody's gears, because it's using an AI to do something that nobody uses them for, but they're really well suited for. And that's being a dumb variable store.
I freaking love this.
Yep. A lot of people try to drag in tools that go talk to key value stores, or I'm looking stuff up in some vector database, or I've got some, GraphQL MCP tool that my agents can talk to. But the reality of it is that the context of an LLM is a perfect place to store stuff. Yep. And as long as you can manage the context and you can read and write the context, it's a perfectly good data store. And that's what this green stuff up here in the work in progress is actually showing. So as part of our trading strategy, we want to be able to tell our trading AI pipeline, the limits that we're willing to work within, right? We want to spend this much money. We don't want to buy stuff over this price. We want to sell stuff below this price. There's lots of limits that we want to set as a human before the AI goes off and runs amok with our bank balance. So this is an example of setting a limit variable. In this case, I'm ultimately going to use it to set the buy price for my fat Doge stacks. That as long as the Doge price is below this, I want to do dollar cost averaging, buying once a day, once an hour, however often, as long as it's below this limit that I set. Right. So we've got a command called /limit, which lets me, the human, say what the limit should be. And it flows up here into this work in progress box where it goes into a swarm. A little AI, little LLM up here's job is to just pull out what I'm telling it that the limit is. And it's going to pass it over here to another box, which is going to set the prompt on this LLM down here called limit variable. And it's just going to set the prompt to say the limit value is blah, whatever that is. Right. So now any other AI, any other tool, anything else, any other human in the swarm can say what's the limit, and this thing is going to respond with the value. So let me show you, let me show it to you in action first, and then we'll come back and we'll look at how it's working real quick. So over here,
we should talk about, when you get back, let's talk about the fact that what else that opens the door to, but go ahead.
Oh yeah. So, all right. So first thing I want to do is just say, well, I don't know, what is the limit? And it's going to come back and say, well, right now the limit is 1.
Right.
Okay. Well, I want to change that. I want to make the limit be 12. Now you can see over here, the little parser figured out that the number I wanted to set was 12, and it generated a new system prompt for the other LLM that's down here responding to what the limit is. So now if I ask what is the limit's now 12.
Right. And that's a variable being held
Limit
in an
3,
LLM.
Right.
Related to its context. Right.
So now the limit's 4. So it doesn't seem like a big deal, except that it really is, because you're using exactly the same data formats, exactly the same message formats, everything that already flows around in these swarms, and you're letting the LLM be a storage mechanism for you. It could be storing JSON. It could be storing a complicated JSON object with lots of fields in it. It could be an array. It could be a string. It can be whatever.
It could be a markdown document. It could be a task list. It could be projects.
Right?
Yep.
Whatever you're asking it to store is going to go into that limit var LLM as its context. And if we go back and look, you can even see that in this dumb little LLM down here, its context value is set to the value of limit is 4. That's the last thing I told it. Whenever you receive input, output the value of limit. Only output the single message like limit is X. Do not output any additional information, you dumb LLM. So that's how we're always getting the limit is 4 out of this thing, regardless of, I could say, bake a cake, and ideally it should still tell me the limit is 4. The limit is 4.
There you go.
Right? It doesn't care. Whatever I tell it, it's just going to always tell me what the limit is. So if you look at what goes on back here, I'm typing /limit and some value, and that goes up here into this swarm. And this little guy up here has one job, right? And his one job is you will receive a command to the form /limit number, extract the number of the command, and output only the number, right? And that's why we see back here in this display, it's just putting out the number 4. Right. This little guy's job is to just take whatever input it gets, find the number, and spit the number back out. That number goes over to a tool, right? It's not going to another LLM. And this tool is really dumb. It says, no matter what you get, it's going to be some value that you want to insert into the system prompt of this guy. So if we look at what this thing does, it says, well, set the system prompt of whatever you're wired up to with this red wire to be the value of limit is whatever text you just received. Well, in that case, it just got the number 4. So the value of limit is 4 whenever you receive the input, blah, blah, blah. And it's setting this guy's system prompt to be that. So now whenever this guy gets text from the user or from any other LLM or any other input source, its whole job is going to be to put out whatever the current value of limit is. So now we got.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So this little dumb function, set prompt, is probably one of the most powerful and empowering things that we've discovered in building this system, because That is now a module of functionality that can be utilized by an agent to create more of those limit underscore var LLMs, those kinds of things, right? We can utilize agents, coordinating agents, managing agents to actually generate more agents with prompts that are related to whatever the current task is at hand, right? So this when we saw this and you had this, you deployed this, and it clicked for me that we now could actually have agents creating agents and pipelines on the fly. That was just everything, right? This context storage with our agents is absolutely probably the most powerful thing in this system, because then it allows us to basically build anything or have an agent that can build anything.
Well, and it's self-modifying, which, we're going to build Skynet here.
Yeah, exactly.
We're just doing Doge trading today, but in a couple of weeks we'll be working on Skynet with this, because it's like you say, Brad, it can, if it understands that it needs to generate a subtask, it can conceivably build the system prompt and the pipeline tooling to do that subtask, right? Yep. So, and it can even try it and see if it gets an answer that it likes, and if it doesn't, it can kill that pipeline off and try again.
Yep.
Right.
And it could and we'll get to the point where we have a chat window where we can tell an agent to deploy a pipeline that does A, B, C, and D to get to goal X, and it can deploy these pieces. It can deploy interconnected swarms. It can connect to other swarms. It's every time we talk about it, it excites me.
I know it's going to be fun. So the next step to do here is, instead of just talking to this limit thing directly, just for demo purposes, like we're doing when we ask what is the limit, we'll have a whole nother chunk of pipeline out here now that periodically is going to wake up and say, what's the price of Doge? What is the limit? What's my budget? If all those things line up, the price is less than the limit, and I have some spare cash, go buy some Dogecoin. Right. That's the next step of this. So we have the ability to set the variables and the bounds for the agent. One of the things we're going to set: how often do you check the price? Once a minute, once an hour. That's something we haven't even touched on in the Kilroy universe right now. There's a block over here that is actually called time, and it can do things on a periodic basis, like send text into the pipeline to do something. See if it's time to trade. It could just send that prompt in repeatedly once every 10 seconds. Is it time to trade? Is it time to trade? Is it time to trade? So these things can become automated and run on a periodic basis without a human in the loop. I mean, yep. That's the ultimate peril and crippling limitation of almost every interaction that people are doing with LLMs right now, is that you got to start with somebody typing something.
Right. Or you got to figure out how to set up cron jobs, which is not
right. And all that stuff. So, that's just another block you drag on the screen, and every 10 seconds send out this message, get the price of Doge, and that's going to get dumped in a swarm. And whenever the LLM sees the price of Doge, it's going to say, what's the limit? And then it's going to compare the price of Doge to the limit, and then issue a buy command, and something else is going to be listening for the buy command. And when it gets it, it's going to go off and buy it.
Yep. Well, and again, we've done this already. You could build in trading view signals into this system.
Oh, right? Absolutely. One of these swarms, we have a swarm right now that receives real-time updates from trading view, material indicators, versions of trading view signals, and it's actionable data. It's got, deviations from, the running price. It's a dip, go buy. It's, yep. at a peak, go sell. And it just shows up in a swarm as another message that the LLMs can work on. Right.
Well, and the beauty of that is you can have multiple signals coming in and have the LLM compare them and say, right. Do all of these signals match up? The variable I have is A is green, B is green, C is yellow or green, whatever it is. Right.
Right.
And that LLM then says, yes, go. Okay, great. We're good to go. Right. And you could have variables within the system that says, yes, you can go, but only by X if X is whatever. I mean,
well, and I want to get that just because I watched Bitcoin dump 2 nights in a row where I'm dead asleep and there's nothing that you can do about it. But if you had your little LLM buddy out there watching for you,
yep,
right. Not only would it have been get out before it dumps, but it would have been get back in when it's at the bottom, and you could have slept peacefully all night long.
Well, and then there are, there have been at least 20 of signals from the material indicators, MTF indicator over the last 48 hours for Bitcoin and Ethereum, that were all turned profit, right? So there's a million options here. Whatever you like to do from a trading perspective, you could be analyzing Twitter sentiment, right? You could take an influencer that you trust, who you've made money on in the past on Farcaster or Twitter or wherever, and every time they initiate a buy, you're executing a buy. And that's a really simple thing to do, right? We're just looking for data from that person's feed and the token, and then we go buy it. So there's a lot of power.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. We were playing around with the copy trading in Blowfin last week, not to great effect at the end of this week, but
it was good until we didn't take profit.
Right. Well, but you could do some stuff that they don't let you do on their platform, which is you could follow the trades of 5 traders and pick the best 3 out of 5.
Yep.
And follow what they're doing. Right now, you're all or nothing with a trader on Blowfin, but this way you could say, well, let me see what everybody's doing, and we're going to throw out the Russian judge and the, whatever, and pick the one.
Well, and that was one of those research studies, was a process of voting, right? The one that solved the million task problem not only was breaking everything down into small pieces, but was having every single step voted on by 3 different LLMs.
I can't remember if we showed that, but we have a demo of that where you're asking the LLM to compare 2 numbers, and they're always bad about comparing numbers. Is 0.11 bigger or smaller than 0.1?
Right.
Right. And so you ask that 3 different ways to 3 different LLMs, you get their answers back, you pick the 2 that match, and that's the answer. That's the easiest, quickest way to do that. And we've got lots of examples of that. Is this price of Doge outside my limit? Well, I'm going to ask 3 times because I don't want to be buying because the LLM hallucinated a price and made the wrong decision. Right. We'll put that in there in this at some point. You'll see the sanity check module come in.
Well, and the nice thing about that model of the copy trading is once we've onboarded a lot of folks with a lot of experience and skills in trading, they're going to have their own swarms in Kilroy, and you'll be able to copy them and follow them and pick and choose what you want to take part in and not take part in. And then your agent can be comparing them, like you said, to everybody else, but it can all be happening in Kilroy swarms, peer-to-peer, no latency, no issues, no worry about, whether Binance's API is down because too many people are hitting it at once, whether, Coinbase is down because Cloudflare is down. This is pure, decentralized, peer-to-peer, agentic platform that allows you to collaborate and share information and data and agents with each other, as well as GPUs and LLMs. So it's it's just
all right.
Blows me away. You'd think by now I wouldn't be that excited about it, but it's just ridiculous.
Well, what's really exciting is, the more people that use it, the more exciting it gets too, because they do things that we haven't figured out yet.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
This is the time to pitch people on using Kilroy, Brad.
Yes. So we are looking for folks that want to be building and trying and testing and helping us improve everything about this system. If you are someone who's willing to give it a shot and think logically and experiment with some power of this, please, you can DM me on Twitter, B05Crypto. Chuck is C Schotten on everything. And I'm B05 on Farcaster, Brad Nickel on LinkedIn, Chuck Schotten on LinkedIn. Please do. Same with Telegram, B05Crypto and C Schotten on Telegram. We have our group. I'll put our group link in the show notes for the Kilroy group Telegram.
Oh yeah, the new Kilroy group. Absolutely.
Yeah. But
it's closed right now. If you want in, send a DM to Brad or me.
Yeah. Yeah. And we are, open arms. We would love to have you. We need more brains on this. You will unleash incredible power for yourself by utilizing the platform. And you'll also be helping the only truly decentralized agentic platform, Turing complete development environment that exists. So we would love to, is that a tagline? Is that a whole tagline?
Buzzword bingo for the week.
That's it. I didn't say revolutionary yet though. So, That was awesome, Chuck. I love that. Thank you very much. I hope everyone has a great day. Take care. We'll see you all later. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Now let's see if I can go off the air. It says we're not live, but we were. I checked. No, I checked.
Mine says live and recording.
Mine does not. It's like, what the? Okay. whatever. Now, well, the problem is I can't take us down. I'm going to refresh the screen. We'll see what happens.